to the July 11th, 2017 regular City Council meeting of the City of Placerville City Council. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Well, thank you. Okay, would you like to call the roll?
Councilmember Acuna?
Here.
Councilmember Borelli?
Here.
Mayor Clarici?
Here.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Here.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Here.
Thank you.
Great, we're all here. Announcements and presentations to the public. Brief comments by the City Council. Tricia, do you have any brief comments that you'd like to have?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm excited about the gold bug thing coming. I'm sure we all are, but
Yeah.
Very fun.
About what, Tricia?
The Gold Bug.
On Saturday?
Mine.
Oh,
Yeah, dinner,
Do you wanna
murder,
talk-
mystery.
Yeah.
the murder. That's what I'm looking forward to. I don't care about the dinner.
you get
I
to
care
vote
about
and
the
tell,
murder.
you get to vote on it.
Yes.
That's a.
Okay, I'm done. All right. Okay. You got any?
I would just like to commend the tailors on the windows on the Herrick building. Have you seen those?
They are lovely.
They are really beautiful. They look fantastic. And even the little detail on the back, the roof detail on the back of the alley, it's really shaping up. And those windows are spectacular. So we'd just like to recognize that and thank the tailors for such attention to detail.
Yes, they are, and they are wonderful. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was also going to mention the Goldbug Park. I understand that there's still a few tickets available for the Murder at Goldbug Park, which is, as we all know, is this coming Saturday. And the tickets are available at the Chamber of Commerce and also at Placerville News Company. $45 per person. That's a dinner and a murder mystery in the park and around the mine, so it ought to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's not in the mine? I thought the murder was in the mine.
I don't know.
Oh,
Well, it would
That's
be-
a mystery. Maybe the police chief knows, but I don't know.
It would be hard to get out.
And then I'd like to also thank our public works folks who have been tirelessly chasing a water leak on Cedar Ravine for probably the last 6 or 8 weeks, and it finally revealed itself. It was becoming a car wash of sorts in the last few days of operation, but they've got it fixed now, and it's just another example of how things are falling apart and the amount of effort that it takes to get to some of these things. So we have a nice dry street and no more leaky pipe. So thanks to those guys for their dedication.
Great.
I would like to call attention to the windows up at Old City Hall. We have artwork there. It's through the People to People program. And it's an international contest that the People to People program sponsors, and they have posters up there, or pictures, artwork done, and it has a theme. And I'm sorry to say I'm having a brain freeze. But anyway, it's very nicely displayed, and I want to thank Steve for arranging for us to be able to put the artwork up there. And I would encourage everybody to stop by and check it out.
Yes, it is. Yes, that was very nice. Very.
Good use for that window.
Exactly. Okay, I received a letter actually about a month ago now, informing me that one of our nonprofits here in town had been named Nonprofit of the Year by Assemblyman Frank Bigelow. And it was honored at a ceremony at the end of June down in Sacramento. And that one is the Boys and Girls Club of El Dorado County Western Slope. So they
Well
are
deserved.
very well deserved. They are quite an organization, the community and the new building and all the things they do over there. It's really fantastic. Anyway, I wanted to recognize them. If you happen to see Sean McCartney, wish him well and congratulate him on that.
Nice.
Otherwise, let's see.
Have you seen our Vice Mayor's interview with Sean McCartney?
I haven't seen that.
You haven't?
No.
It's really good.
Did
Yeah,
you?
you did a great
Oh,
job.
good. Well,
W-
thanks.
It's an interview with Sean McCartney at the Boys and Girls Club, and it's on our local television station.
Well, thanks. I'll have to check it out.
But you were there.
I was.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fantastic. Okay, let's see. Do we have a closed session report?
We do, but we have nothing to report because the council did not take reportable action.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to adopt this agenda?
I would.
Sure, I'll second.
Got a motion, a second. Oh, but we have to add an item.
Yes.
Item
Oh, with the
12 with the addition of
with the addition of
12.5.
12.5.
So would you like to amend your,
I would like to do that.
and the second?
Sure.
Okay. We have,
Mayor,
what?
just as a basis for adding this item, is the government code allows the addition of items to the agenda after the agenda has been posted, when the matter has arisen after the agenda was posted and requires action prior to the next scheduled council
Okay.
meeting. In this case, it has to do with a letter to the CTC advising them that we want to proceed with a project relating to the upper Broadway bike lanes. And because of funding issues and the fact that the second meeting in this month rather has been canceled, we need to get this letter out. And the matter came up just this past week after the agenda was posted.
Well, thank you for that very technical and appropriate explanation as to why we're adding item 12.5 to the agenda. Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Ceremonial matters, a proclamation of the City Council declaring August 1st, 2017 as National Night Out 2017. Okay, this is one of my favorite things, going around town, National Night Out. Placerville totally kicks you know what when it comes to National Night Out. We are consistently one of the best ones ever. It's probably the greatest, most wonderful National Night Out in the history of that sort of thing. I have a declaration here, so I will just sort of read some parts of it. The National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide Lights On campaign in celebration against crime, drugs, and violence on August 1st, 2017, entitled National Night Out. There you go, right on. The 34th annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the city of Placerville to join forces with 38 million people in over 116,000 communities from all 50 states, U.S. territories, Canadian cities, even our friends north of the border, and military bases in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And it's really quite wonderful. The City Council plays a vital role in assisting the Placerville Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in the City of Placerville and is supporting National Night Out 2017. It is essential that all citizens of the City of Placerville be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and impacts that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in Placerville. And the police, community partnership, neighborhood safety, awareness, and camaraderie are important themes of the National Night Out program. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Placerville, I hereby proclaim August 1st National Night Out in the City of Placerville. So, woohoo! And I have to say that besides all those great crime-fighting things, it's amazing what kind of food gets served up in this town. So it's kind of like going to Costco at about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening on August 1st, and you just go around to the various neighborhoods and you just collect food like nobody's business. And I have to tell you, I certainly enjoy it. So I'm sure we all have things to say that are really great. And actually this year, I believe, we will be having on Sean Drive, or no, we aren't. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe next year.
There you go.
There you go.
We will be doing it. Okay, anyway, enough of me. Would you like to say something? And then we'll get comments from the council. Go ahead.
To kind of piggyback on what you had mentioned, this has been a very important event for many, many, many years, and a very successful event. And we have placed first in our category for many of those years, including last year. In California, we were the #1 for our category of less than a population of 15,000, and we came in 4th overall in the nation. So out of 134,000 parties, that is pretty significant. So we are going to continue and move up. That's our goal, is we'd love to be #1 overall. But I would like to say we have an additional number of events. We're going to have 20 events total this year, which is up from 17 from last year. One of the big programs that we're kicking off, and this is through the Neighborhood Watch Association, is a new program called the Dog Walker Watch Program. And basically what we're doing is we're going to enable and get those people that are out on our streets already walking their dogs to be an extension of Neighborhood Watch. So we've got T-shirts for the walkers, and we've got bandanas for the dogs, and we're going to start kicking that off officially for this year's National Night Out, and I'd like to continue to have that as a part of Placerville's events. We're going to have, again, the grocery outlet's going to have another big car show event, 200 plus cars that are pretty amazing in themselves. Most of these cars are going to be entered in hot August nights and on their way up to Reno. They're also going to have live band, and they're going to have a line dancing contest. So that's going to be their big draw. Benham Park, we're really trying to play at Benham Park and the city park. We're going to have free swimming. We're going to have, again, our dog walkers out there. We're going to have bounce house, snow cones. Again, we're really trying to push the families out there, especially after last year's heat wave. The park seems to be the place that we really need to be with all the trees and everything. We're also going to have an event at Sierra School. We're going to have an old-fashioned carnival there. So we're going to have all kind of carnival games and a walking magician and cotton candy. And so we're really trying to reach out to as many of the different types of groups that there are out there in the community. Last but not least, one of the things we're going to start, since this seems to be all the rage, is we're also going to have drone coverage. We're going to film all of the events from the sky and add that to our footage. So if that doesn't kick us up into first place, I don't know what will. But I just want to thank the city and all of you for being so supportive of this program. And it really means a lot to the communities and the neighborhoods to see you, the officers, the chief, everybody out there. It's in this day and age, having hands-on and being able to talk to the city leaders really means a lot to them. I hear that time and time again, how much they love having access to all of us. So, thank you.
Well, no, thank you very much. This is fantastic. And yeah, let's kick that thing up to #1 overall everywhere.
Yeah,
because
I
that would be
agree.
really cool.
Yeah.
Can I say one real quick word?
You can say many words
Many
slowly
words.
if you'd like.
I just want to say, I missed last year because I was back east at my daughter's home in Fairfax, Virginia. And I was all excited back there. I thought, okay, I'll go to National Night Out, and see what that's all about. I couldn't find one. It was so disappointing.
Yeah.
It was really disappointing. And I understand there were a few homes. Yeah, you're right. There were a few homes that had some, but they just didn't put it on like we do. And
Yeah.
I just thought, oh my gosh, this really shows what we do here.
It really does. And being a former Sacramento resident, there's very little, it goes by neighborhoods, but to have the entire city buy into it.
Right.
That's what's unique about Placerville, is we get a total buy-in, not only from the city, from police department, but from the vendors, the businesses, the donations that we're getting. I mean, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So we're very blessed.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
Just, Carol, thank you so much for all your effort and everyone's effort on this. It takes extraordinary planning for a year, I'm sure, to pull this off. And
It is.
just-
It's a team effort. It truly is a team effort, but we've got a great team. I've got great management, great support, all of you. I couldn't ask for more. It really is truly a team effort.
Well, really appreciate your leadership on it too, and
thank
thank you
you.
to everyone involved for making it a party in Placerville on Tuesday, August 1st. And
That's
we can't
right.
wait. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And while he did accurately describe the food, and there are some superb cooks in our neighborhoods, one of the things that I have always enjoyed, and I think this will be my 11th or 12th National Night Out to participate in, is the opportunity for the community to come out and have a quiet time and a positive time with their police department. And I think even more important than that, this is an opportunity for our police officers to know that the community does really, truly appreciate everything they do, coming to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, the service that they provide. This is a chance for them to hear thank you, because let's face it, when you pick up the phone and have to call the police, it's usually not just to say hi and how's the weather. There's some stressful situations going on. And so this is a great time for our police officers to get that positive feedback from the community And I just think that's so important so that they know that the community really, truly does care, and it really supports them very, very deeply. So I'm really looking forward to another one of these. I'm sure we're going to just, with drone coverage, how can we fail?
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work, Carol.
Thank
You want to introduce your little partner there?
I would love to. This is our night, the City of Placerville's night from National Night Out.
Welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, go walk up there.
John wants this all.
Oh,
Perfect. Oh, that's awesome. Excellent, thank you.
Looks nice.
That's a good-looking group there.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. This is fantastic. Everybody should go out on August 1st and go to one of these neighborhood things. The thing at the grocery outlet is just amazing. Just the whole thing that's going on up there. But all over the community, there's going to be these barbecues and whatnot, and it's a lot of fun. So go have a good time on National Night Out. Okay, we are now to the public comment period. These are brief, non-agenda items. So this is anything that, if you want to say something about something that is not on this agenda, you may. We can't take action except for very specific things, which actually John just outlined for you pretty much back there in the agenda item there. It has to be very specific, so we can't take any action on anything. You have 3 minutes. And it has 3 minutes on it now, so it actually works. So you have 3 minutes, and as I always say, follow the golden rule. Don't say anything about anybody that you would not want to have somebody say about you. So anyway, please, come on down.
Hi there, I'm Sheila Kelly from Powell's again. We're still having some concerns over the parking, the new parking situation. As a business owner, I show up early in the morning to unload my car. I have to park right in front of my restaurant. I unload my car and I move it up to the top where I pay for the 3rd floor. And if the parking person comes by and marks my car, I can't come back to town after I get off work at 5 or 4:30 and have dinner with my husband without the possibility of getting a ticket, because my 2 hours is automatically gone, even though I was only out there for 10 minutes. And I don't park out there any longer than that. There's some people on Main Street that do split shifts at different restaurants that are receiving tickets. They work 3 hours in the morning, they go home for 3 hours, they come back, they try to pay, and the machine won't allow them to add more time, and they got a ticket. One girl got one yesterday. We're all getting tickets. 2 weeks ago on a Sunday and Monday, somebody wrote a sign and taped it up and put it on I don't know if you saw it or not, free parking today. So when I approached the parking person about that, she said, well, I took that down and there's going to be a lot of tickets today for so many people. And it was like, well, can't you do something? I mean, you know that these people that don't know would just assume that that was a legitimate letter. That happened 2 days in a row. It's confusing. The signage is confusing, and a lot of my customers are afraid to even come downtown and spend any more than 2 hours because they don't know how to work the machine. And they do. A lot of them come downtown early, do some shopping, and then want to come back for dinner, and they're getting tickets. So I'm not sure how we can approach this or what we can do, but it's a big concern. Business is suffering from this downtown, and we just kind of need some help. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Dorothy Wilson, and I've been here before to talk about downtown parking. You know, and while I'm sure a one-time tourist wouldn't bat an eye at paying the increased parking fees, I believe that we locals are the bread and butter of downtown businesses. People from all over this county, as well as many from the valley, have in the past frequented Main Street, our historic Main Street. What effect will these increased regulations have on those customers? I personally find that I am avoiding Main Street since the new regulations began. Why would I risk getting a ticket to shop at Placerville Hardware when I could go to Home Depot and shop for free? You know, I think I could have stomached the paid hourly rate increase from $1 to $2, but the daily hours extension and the addition of Sunday is totally unacceptable, and I beg you to reconsider this. The system of recording license plate numbers was ill-conceived. If I make 2 or 3 stops downtown, maybe each stop being 15 minutes, if the parking monitor happens to come by and record my number, I'm going to get a ticket. There's no way for a parking monitor to know if a vehicle has left town and returned later. A friend of mine was ticketed because he made 2 brief stops on Main Street in the same day, many hours apart. There was no way to prove he left and came back later. He was defenseless. I don't know, I think we could maybe set up, a Google app on our smartphone to track our location and times every day, but I'm not someone who wants to do that. Also, and I've said this before, the signage is totally insufficient. The signs in every monitored area need to state clearly the times and days that parking is monitored. People unaware that the hours have been extended from 5 to 7 p.m. can be ticketed, and the sign when entering the third floor lease parking spots states clearly, except Saturday and Sunday. And apparently, according to the ordinance that I read, it's 7 days a week now. Please state the new regulations clearly on the signs if you won't do anything to change this. How can people be expected to follow the rules when they don't know the rules? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Larry Park. I'm a resident here in Placerville. I moved away in 1980. I was gone for 31, 32 years, and I missed this town the whole time I was gone. So we moved back from Montana, and I'm finding myself very frustrated with the parking. And I'm a local musician here in town. That's what I've done all my life. I don't tour anymore. But I know when I come downtown, I unload my gear, because we play a lot at Pals. That's one of the places that we play. And they've had music there on Sundays for 30 years plus. And I have noticed that there's probably half the amount of people that show up on Sundays now. And our friends that do come in, they're constantly looking at their watches. It's uncomfortable. It's not, you can't have that free, fun feeling, that we have when we're trying to put out some music and let everybody kind of enjoy Sunday, and because everybody's worried about this parking. I have to have my band come. I live on the top of Canal Street on Simus, and they come to our house and park, and my wife drives us down to town, and then of course, she'll come down and pick us up. We have to leave the cars up on Simus Street, and that's an inconvenience to my neighbors. And, it's just, I just wanted to voice my frustration about it. I understand, the town needs money, and, but I think you guys could pay the national debt off if you just posted more police on Highway 50 between Canal Street and Mosquito. I mean, I sit there at the off-ramp getting ready to turn left on the canal, and I'm worried about getting rear-ended by somebody going 80 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour on their phone, and they drive that fast. I mean, I'm sitting there, and they go by, and my car just rocks back and forth. And you guys have done a pretty good job. A couple of times I've called the police station and give you guys kudos for that, because if you could just park a car there, a police car there, I think it would slow people down, But anyways, I just wanted to do that. Maybe I should have put this in a song and brought my guitar and sang it to you. It'd probably been easier to talk. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
My name's Tim Kelly. My wife and I own Powell Steamers. And you've heard about the rest of the issues that are going on here. But I'm confused about something, and it has to do with Reservoir Street, which, if you aren't familiar with that, it's the road behind the businesses on the south side of Main Street. And you've got a ordinance back there, CVC 22658A and PC 602. And it talks about it's all private parking back there. And I believe, I might be ignorant, but I understand from reading this, my comprehension tells me that that was originally set up for the homeowners that, or residents of the housing that lives back there. It's not, it was never intended for it to be private parking for the businesses on that side of the street. There is no parking on the north side of Reservoir Street. Anything that was there was built by the property owners that's there. Everything on the south side of the street has private parking, which I believe is not fair, because you would have a lot more people, a lot more businesses in here if those people that are doing business on that side of the street had to come and pay for their parking like the people that are on the north side of the street. I would just like some clarification as to what's really going on. Am I understanding that vehicle code correctly? I mean, is that set up for private parking? I mean, my understanding is that's a city street. How could there be private parking on a city street? That's my question to you.
Thank you. I will have to, I don't have the answer. I haven't memorized that part of the parking code, but I can find out for you. We will find out for you.
I would appreciate that. And my wife also asked me to mention that she has several pages of petitions about the parking.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Neil Blywise. I just want to add virtually nothing, but support the parking issue. I think as a resident of Placerville, for us to come and enjoy the town, we shouldn't have to worry about parking. It's not fair to the store owners. It's not fair to the people that live in this town to have to do that. It takes a lot of the enjoyment out of the day. And on another note, the garage, if you're going to park in the garage, at least if you're going to have spaces that we're supposed to pay for, maybe you can make them realistically wide enough to fit a car in there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else wish to comment?
Sue Rodman, also a resident of Placerville, and I was on the parking committee. And what we found as we looked at the parking situation in Placerville is our parking lots are falling apart. Our garage has no funds for maintenance to keep it in good shape. People want to park here. They want to use downtown, but you can't do it if the whole thing falls apart. And with no funding and the parking, not even the amount of funding coming in from the parking that we had was not even paying its own costs, not even paying its, just the basic costs. So let alone do any maintenance or any restriping to fix the too narrow parking spaces or anything like that. So we looked at it and we said, okay, what can we do? Well, you have to do something. And so this was the best alternative that we could come up with to try to fix the problem. Was everywhere else, people pay a little more to park. Well, the cost of maintaining those lots, and if you take a look at some of our parking lots, the Ivy House parking lot is a tripping hazard. You know, pick a lot, any lot. There's potholes, there's problems, they aren't getting fixed. The city doesn't have money to fix them. The businesses don't really want to be tagged for the amount of money that it would take to redo these parking lots. So the only way is for the people who use them to put in a little extra money so that they can be maintained. Otherwise, eventually we won't have paved parking lots. They will all disintegrate. And we do have to maintain the garage in order to keep it safe and in good shape. So that was the best thing that we could come up with. The signs can always be improved, and probably should be. I didn't think the signage was very good, but that can be fixed. But we do have to have some kind of funding in order to maintain those lots so that people can use them.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment during the public comment period? Okay. Do we have any written correspondence?
No.
Okay. We are endeavoring to kind of fine-tune the parking situation. I would like to just sort of, we aren't charging for parking to make money. Okay, that's not happening. The last time with the old machines and the old parking regimen, the city lost $100,000 over 10 years. So this is not a money-making scheme. So if you talk to your friends and they talk about how the city's trying to gouge you to make money, this isn't a money-making thing. I will be surprised even if this effort comes out in the black or even comes close to paying for itself, because I doubt if it will. The parking committee was charged with doing a couple of things, and that was coming up with a parking scheme for downtown that would not leave us $100,000 in the hole, because essentially what you're doing is you are making a gift of public funds to private property. It's something that the city tries to avoid. We do not provide parking for businesses on Placerville Drive and Broadway. And so that is a challenge. It's one of the challenges, and I've worked in all sorts of the foothill communities, and they all have the same kinds of problems. Limited parking, limited access, costs like maintaining the parking lots and whatnot, and how to deal with it. Some communities decide, the property owners decide, to put an assessment on their existence in a certain spot, and then they would pass that down through their tenants, and their tenants would pass that down, if they can, through costs. If you owned a business on Broadway or Placerville Drive, that is likely what you would be doing. You would be paying for parking. So if you go to another place, yes, you get to park your car and no one's charging you for it, but you do pay for the parking even in a place that has unpaid parking. You're just doing it through the cost of the goods and the services that you're buying at whatever establishment you tend to go to. I also used to sell commercial real estate, so and manage commercial real estate, so I know about triple net leases and the whole bit. So there are very few things. There is really nothing like free parking out there. I will say what I have said before on this subject. The merchants need to come up with a scheme that maybe meets the needs of the folks that have concerns collectively, because that's what happened before, and then bring it to us. And as long as it pencils out, then we're fine. We are endeavoring, though, to deal, because we've heard from folks that do classes downtown, and their folks are confused of it. We are trying to get better signage, and we will endeavor to get better signage. So we are moving forward on this particular issue. And I think Councilmember Acuna pointed it out the last meeting, that there has not been one of these transitions of parking that have not gone without incident. When they went from marking the tires, which everybody defeated by moving their cars around, to the machines that we just got rid of, there was a lot of kind of growing pains, and then eventually kind of everything got worked out. We're encountering the same thing today. There's some growing pains with this particular system, and eventually we'll kind of get it all worked out. We want to try to figure out a way to accommodate the various folks that have specific kinds of issues. Like I said, we've heard from folks that give classes downtown, and people come in for many hours, and we're trying to figure that out. We're looking into ways to potentially do something maybe with validation, if we can do that. We appreciate the situation, and we have heard from lots of folks. If you do have a petition with signatures, please give it to the clerk. And we're not unsympathetic, but we do have to balance these things out. It's our jobs to balance these things out. So if we can come up with a balanced way of doing it, or if we can come up with some fixes that meet specific needs, then I am all for it. And the city manager knows this, and he has marching orders to go ahead and work with the merchants downtown. So if you'd like to add anything to Cleve, that would be fine.
The only thing really that I do have answers to a few of these questions, but I think what I'd like to do, as you know, the council asked us to bring back a report on this.
Right.
We are doing that at the next meeting. We'll have a comprehensive report outlining what the programs are, exactly what we have, and some potential fixes for some of those that we will send back to the parking committee to look at. So at our next meeting, which I want to remind everybody is on August 8th.
August 8th.
Because we have canceled the second meeting in July. On August 8th, we will have a report, and we invite people to come out and express their concerns and help us look through the process at that time.
Yeah, and we'll reach out to some of the folks that we've heard from to make sure that they kind of know what's going on, and you folks, and there's other folks that we've heard from. So we're not unsympathetic, and we do want to get it right, and we certainly want people. We are citizens. We are residents of Placerville, and I go downtown all the time. I spend lots and lots of money and time on Main Street. So, and you know, the parking thing is kind of interesting. Now, oddly enough, I find the new parking system less vexing than the old parking system, but it's just a personal preference of mine. Anyway, but that's it for parking. Councilmember Acuna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to ask Cleve because I think it was I had requested that item be brought back. We'd had a few of the same folks here a couple of meetings ago, and I think that I would share the same concerns. The signage certainly has room for improvement. So we want to make sure that you're all here on August 8th. And I would ask you also to remember that when this current system was being reviewed, when Sue Rodman and her colleagues were on the parking committee and working with those selected members from the PDA Association, they also had signatures and approval from the folks that they represented. And that was a part of what was recognized and discussed during the adoption of the current program. And I know it's very frustrating for me to sit up here and have a week or two meetings later, another group of folks come in and say, well, there was 200 of us that didn't have a chance to go to that meeting. Well, we have absolutely no control over a private organization's meeting and when they're agendized and who can't go. So, we know that this is going to occur on August 8th. So please make sure to do the best you can to get all of your members. I mean, we've heard numbers of upwards of a couple of hundred folks. We've never had that kind of input. But yet this thing got adopted, represented to us as having been fairly heard and discussed at various PDA meetings. So that's all we can go on when it comes here on a Tuesday night. So please keep that in mind. To the gentleman that said that he thought Placerville should have all free parking, and I think that would be really great. But let me tell you that a couple of weeks ago my phone rang and I got a call from a merchant in the 400 block of Main Street who's been here for a while. And for the last week he had watched two fellow business owners leave their cars in front of his business all day long. 8 to 9 hours a day. They do it all the time. So there are conditions, unfortunately, that folks do need some guidance. And this has always been one of the issues. Not everybody plays by the same rules or has the same conscience, and they do park and will go about doing their own business as they see fit, which in this instance is to sit in front of a person's shop. I wouldn't think Powell's would want somebody to park for 8 or 9 hours every day in front of their prime spot. So unfortunately, we're going to have some regulations. So please keep that in mind too. The last thing I would like to ask the city manager for, they're in confab right now, we may need the city attorney, is I have been also getting a lot of complaints for, I got a ticket and I don't think it's right, the sign was wrong, the timing was wrong. I would have a problem if the sign said 5 o'clock and I was at 6:30 and I got a ticket. I would want some explanation myself. So I would like to ask the city manager, so if I have a complaint regarding a ticket that I received, a parking ticket, who can they contact your office? Who should we best send those through?
Well, there's two things they can do. One is to go through the appeal process that is outlined on the citation they receive. But they can also, at this time, we recognize that there's problems that we're trying to work out. And they can call our office at 642-5200, and we can try and work it out for them. If it is a legitimate concern that something happened, we have had some of those where people tried to add time and couldn't for whatever reason. We're trying to work out what it is, and we have waived those tickets. We've taken care of those. So we will work with you when we can during this time to try and get all the bugs worked out. So.
Thank you, Cliff. I appreciate that. Thank you for the time, Mr. Mayor.
Of course. Anytime. Anyway. Yes, go right ahead.
Along those lines, I thought that with these new machines that we were bringing in, that they were going to take care of that. Solve that problem of adding time and.
Well, they are supposed to. That shouldn't be an issue, and we're trying to figure out. We're working with them to see what the issue is. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Great. All right. We have a consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. The reading of the full text of all resolutions will be waived unless a council member requests otherwise. Does anybody wish to pull anything off of our consent calendar?
No, sir.
Have any questions about the consent calendar? Okay.
No, sir.
Would anybody from the public wish to comment on our consent calendar? Okay.
We'll move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Alrighty, so no items were pulled from the consent calendar. There are no ordinances. There are no public hearings. Discussion action items. 12.1, adopt a resolution approving a paving construction contract for Placerville Drive. Woohoo!
Unbelievable.
See, this is why everyone should
Let's all
want to
go out
know.
there.
We're going to
We're
lay
gonna
asphalt
dance.
on Placerville
We're going to pave
Drive.
Placerville Drive.
Paving construction contract for Placerville Drive with Doug Verkamp General. Income, the amount of $118,068 for annual roadway maintenance project list, and then there's a number.
Let's see if he's figured it out.
Yeah, I know. Ms. Needs?
Good evening, council members, Mayor Clarici. As you know, in November of last year, Placerville voters voted and passed Measure L sales tax, which addresses our infrastructure in terms of pipes and roads. As you also know, that we currently have another sales tax measure that was Measure H, or is Measure H, that addresses water and sewer projects, and was passed in 2010 by voter approval. In February, Council established the Measure H and L Committee, and they're acting as an advisory role for the City Council to ultimately recommend and approve recommendations for projects to be delivered. One of the projects that was recommended by the committee was the Street Slurry Seal Maintenance Annual Project List. Given that some of the degraded state of the various roads, and the title of the project is actually being revised to Annual Roadway Maintenance Projects List, which is more representative of the various construction techniques that will be utilized to achieve roadway maintenance throughout Placerville. The intent of this CIP project is to annually set aside $150,000 each fiscal year of Measure L revenue to deliver projects based on the committee's recommendations. Among the preliminary list of projects recommended for this year's program is Placerville Drive. Staff continues to evaluate the road system and determine how to best use the approved funding, and will present additional recommendations to the Measure HL Committee for consideration. Those recommendations will also include Woodridge Court and Martin Lane on the Year 1 roadway maintenance program. In addition, $50,000 will be recommended for Year 1 roadway maintenance program that will be administered in-house by City Crews and by additional contract work. In order to fund these projects, staff will be recommending to the Measure HL Committee that $300,000 of the Canal Street project for Year 1 be allocated to the road maintenance project. This will leave approximately $200,000 to begin design work on Canal Street in Year 1. Staff is not asking for approval of these items at this time, as this information does need to go to the committee for their recommendation. And we will be returning to council with these recommendations, as well as contracts for further work at council's next meeting. Staff solicited informal bids from local contractors and received one response from Doug Verkamp General Engineering in the amount of $118,068 for maintenance paving, inclusive of a 2-inch grind and overlay of the travel lanes only from Placerville Drive to Fair Lane, from Fair Lane to Armory Road. The cost of the project is within the budgeted project total of $150,000. The options that council has before them is to either proceed as recommended by staff or direct staff to revise the scope of the project and address a different project on the recommended list. As such, staff is recommending to adopt a resolution approving paving construction contract for Placerville Drive with Doug Veerkamp General Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $118,068 for the annual roadway maintenance project list, CIP 41818. With that concludes staff's report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions at this moment?
Yes, I do, sir.
Go right ahead.
Rebecca, does this, I'm looking for my robust patch paving program. And I believe I see the information that I'm looking for towards the end of your report, where you're talking about bringing back these items for future consideration in contracts. Because that water leak that we fixed on Cedar Ravine is an excellent candidate for a hot patch, because the road's in relatively good shape.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to be coming back with the actual paving repair contract?
As you so accurately pointed out, the need for the hot patch, these are new discoveries that we get to incorporate, and that is why I highly want to emphasize that the CIP list is a working document. And so we are going to evaluate that as a potential project and recommend it for evaluation from the committee.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm assuming the thing on Canal Street or Cedar Ravine got fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like fixed, like it ain't coming back fixed.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I mean,
as good as an 80-year-old
not
pipe
temporarily,
can get
not
fixed.
temporarily fixed with a more
Permanently
permanent fix to
sealed.
come later, but an actual fix that will.
We addressed the leak.
The leak. You addressed the leak. Okay, great. Anyway, this is exciting. I think that for some folks, and this is kind of more for public consumption, well, and for you folks, but other consumption. I read somewhere on social media, which I should not do because it's frustrating, but it was mentioned like, well, we passed this thing in November, and where's the money? And of course, we passed in November, but we didn't actually start collecting any money till April 1st, and then we don't actually get a check from the state of California until like June, and it's like for $4, and then you'll get the rest of your money at some point in the future. Now, I don't expect those are details, and that's fine. One of the things, though, now is that these projects are going to start rolling out. This is the very first one of a number, and we're actually experiencing a little bit of a cash flow issue for some reasons that we have no control over, and hopefully we'll be able to get that taken care of. It has nothing to do with Measures H or L. It just has to do with other projects and things that we've had going on. Very good things. So, I'm really excited that we're actually starting to do this, and Placerville Drive will be the kind of project that will get everybody's attention, because Placerville Drive is one of those roads. Whenever I go to Raley's and they said, would you please, maybe because we're at Raley's and it's right out there, would you please fix parts of Placerville Drive? So I think I'm really excited about this. I do, and it's probably in here, but when can we expect maybe work to start? I'm sure it was in here and I just didn't read it, or I read right past it.
It was not in there, but I did get a schedule update from the estimator, and it is going to start estimated at the last week of August. So prior to the Labor Day weekend.
And then how long does a project like that take?
About 2-3 days.
Isn't that fantastic? I mean, that's really cool. I mean, that is a fair distance. And
They're
2 or 3 days.
professionals. Yeah, they do great.
This is exciting. Okay. Would anybody from the public like to share in our enthusiasm over this? Oh, I'm sorry. We have another question. Hold on, Sue.
Sorry, Sue. Couple questions. Okay. So what is the scope of the Placerville Drive project? Is it end to end?
No.
It is from Fair Lane. Well, we're working on a couple of things, but it is from Fair Lane to Armory Road. However, we did discuss adding up to the Raley's driveway and potentially even getting out to Ray Lawyer. We did go out and meet with the estimator and their paving foreman, as well as with Public Works, and walk the entire site. We kind of assess the situation in terms of the amount of repair work that would need to be done for some isolated areas and where we could adequately conform grades to. And so I want to deliver more than I promise.
Of course, yeah.
So,
And I know the contractor does too. He's very diligent
Yes.
about that.
Yes,
so we
they're very
look
good
forward
about
to that.
that, yes.
Absolutely. Second question is, folks are rightfully and naturally engaged on the rollout of Measure L repairs and Measure H and Measure L, pardon me. So can you, if folks ask us, how did Placerville Drive rise to the top of the list? And they'll naturally say, well, my street is so bad and all that. Can you just give a brief explanation to the folks perhaps listening as to how Placerville Drive was chosen to be first?
To be honest, the real answer is long-winded and boring, but we discussed it at the public workshops where we had a series of criteria that the public, we presented to the public as terms of ranking each of the projects. And based on that criteria, amongst staff and evaluating the pavement management program that we have in place, that was one of the main reasons why it came to the top.
Great. I think that's really important for folks to understand that there is a very involved, detailed process for assessing the needs and the scope of each project and which ones are rolled out first. So look forward to driving on this improved pavement. So thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Sue.
As you say, Sue Rodman, I will add my enthusiastic support for this. I think that is probably the section of Placerville Drive that gets a lot of traffic. It's coming right off the freeway, and it's some of the worst parts of Placerville Drive. So to fix the worst first is always a good thing to do. So yay, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sue. And one of my kind of dreams is that when we start to get more into the process of rolling these projects out is to have a fairly, I don't want to say exact list because things move around depending on all sorts of circumstances, but having a list that people could look at and say, oh, for the next year, these are the roads that are likely to be addressed by the city. This is where the maintenance is likely to be happening so that folks can start to get a feel for how we're rolling out the money, and then they'll see how their tax dollars are getting spent. So I'm kind of, we've had discussions about it with Cleve and I, and other folks have had discussions about how we would have that as a document that people could go to and say, oh, okay, next year, these are the plans. Of course, it has to go through the committee and they have to approve things, and make their recommendations to us. But at some point it'll become, hopefully, a wonderful routine that we'll get into, just fixing things in town. So. Yeah.
Can I add on to your thought? I appreciated your comments earlier about the misconceptions that somehow the minute the election, the polls closed in November, we started to collect the Measure L money. While that might have been nice, it's certainly not how it worked. Could this be considered the first project?
Yes, sir.
So I think we need to make a big deal out of this because there are a lot of folks that are confused. And with the state's gas tax hikes that they're proposing, a lot of folks that aren't looking, who's looking forward to that? I mean, I think we really need to make some sort of a deal out of this because this is the first project that has gone through the committee, it's gone through our engineering staff, it meets all the criteria.
Yeah.
Getting this piece fixed. So many people that visit shop come through Placerville. Right now they're getting a horrible trip on that road. In a few weeks, they're going to have a beautiful, it's going to be wonderful out there again.
A ribbon cutting for this project.
Something to really.
I think it's a great idea.
I don't, just something to say this is the first one, and here we are going forward, just like the mayor
We don't even
said.
have to have a ribbon cutting.
No,
we
I-
just shoot off some
No.
fireworks or something.
As the mayor, I suggest a ribbon cutting.
I think it's a great
just
idea.
so I can get in the newspaper.
Oh yeah, you need your
Okay.
picture in there. You haven't been in there for about a week or so.
And I'm surprised Sue didn't mention it, but I know she couldn't have forgotten that we really do need to have appropriate signage.
Oh, signs are coming.
For these,
Signs are coming.
these projects. And maybe we won't get it perfected for the first one, but we've got to make a good effort at it.
Ms. Neves is bursting.
And put them up there and do our thing because this helps the naysayers and
She's going to say something.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I wanted to, actually, it's my turn to pass on congratulations and thank yous and gratitude to you guys. Ms. Rodman and Councilmember Thomas designed a sign that we will be producing and affixing to anything that will hold still long enough that advertises that this is a Measure L funded project. And
that's I think that is just so important.
And that their sales tax dollars are at work in our city.
I like
Yes,
to see
amen.
that.
Very good.
That's right.
Okay.
I just want to say something real quick too. Placerville Drive, I don't think a lot of people really realize that it's an alternate highway.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not too sure, because through the years, through transportation and everything, I've been going to tons of meetings, and it's, when we did the Placerville Drive multi-model, they really did their studies on that and proved it. A lot of folks, come off Highway 50 to get over to 49, and they use that as a cutoff, and that's why it is so heavily used. And so I think people, Wendy, when you were asking about why that was prioritized, I don't think folks really realize the usage of Placerville Drive for more reasons than just local traffic.
Well, that would be enough. Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Can we?
Mayor, I'm sorry. Can I just add one comment?
By all means, everyone else.
I just wanted to say, stay tuned. We will have another report, I believe, on August 8th at our next meeting, hopefully, that will further some of this. You'll see more contracts. You'll see more work.
Fantastic.
I talked to, we're working on a contract right now to rent a crack seal machine for our public works department that we're doing crack sealing, and we have a lot of things in the works. If we can just get the money rolling in a little bit faster, we held off some things because of that to make sure the money is here. But you'll see more, at least at the next meeting, and probably on a regular basis this fall, more projects coming before you. So.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Anyway. All right, can I get a motion?
I'll move for approval of the item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please, do we need we can do this by a roll call?
Yes.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Absolutely.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Aye.
And so the first Measure L project moves forward.
I know.
Very exciting.
Congratulations.
Very exciting.
We should all.
Excellent.
Okay. 12.2, adopt a resolution approving construction contract change order numbers 17 through 24 with McGuire and Hester for the Blair's Lane Bridge Replacement Project CIP 40604 in the amount of $137,363.39, and approve an addendum number 2 to Unico Engineering in an amount of $78,000 for continued construction management service, and approve a budget appropriation from Silverado Village, Placerville, LLC in the amount of $410,000 for the said project. Ms. Neves.
We've been working on this project for some time now. Project construction began on April 18th and is complete with the exception of some corrective work that remains in Hangtown Creek Channel. CCOs 1 through 15 were approved by council and previously, with CCO 16 in the amount of $1,038.98 approved administratively under the city manager's signatory authority. The remaining CCOs are as follows. And they are described in detail in the staff's report, so I'll just make this short and sweet. CCO 17 is for stormwater pollution prevention plan, time and materials, erosion control measures. 18 regards to sewer line and water line expansion joints located on the bridge structure. 19 covers erosion control for a different time frame from January through March, which were the heaviest months of weather we experienced. CCO 20 addresses conform to existing grade adjacent to various locations during the paving project efforts. CCO 21 addresses additional traffic control that was necessary during when we received snow and had icy road conditions on our detour route. CCO 22 was for the proper disposal of asbestos concrete pipe. CCO 23 is for storm drain modifications in various locations. CCO number 24 is also for various work at force account, and a summary is provided in staff's report. Additionally, Unico Engineering has been providing construction management services on the project. And it's as a result of the intense winter storms and project schedule extensions, as well as additional project inspections, testing, and documentation. They have expended their budget, and additionally, $35,000 in the requested $78,000 total amendment amount does cover for construction management and contract closeout procedures related to the corrective work. It is, we are taking the position that out-of-pocket costs during corrective work is not to be paid by the city, as that is specifically stated in the contract. The Blair's Lane Bridge Replacement Project is funded primarily through Federal Highway Bridge Program, developer match from Silverado Village, as well as Measure H. In addition to the various appropriations on the project, we've been carrying some costs related to general fund and sewer enterprise fund that we would like to reimburse, as we've been carrying them on this project for a little while, waiting for HBP to reimburse us on those eligible items. And as such, we do have the added benefit that we do have developer match on this project to help us carry those costs. So we're grateful to them for that. And the requested project budget is $5,671,951, which is greater than the total project encumbrances of $5,449,433. As such, staff is recommending adopting a resolution approving the construction contract change orders 17 through 24 with McGuire and Hester for the Blair's Lane Bridge project in the amount of $137,363.39, and approving addendum number 2 to Unico Engineering in the amount of $78,000 for continued construction management services through project closeout, as well as approving a budget appropriation from Silverado Village Placerville LLC in the amount of $410,100 for the said project. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions for that wonderful staff report? No.
I think she explained it all. She
Yes,
went
I
so
did
fast,
very
I'm
well.
not sure, but
Well, it's not like we haven't.
Appreciate it.
And it's not like we haven't talked about
exactly.
the Blair Lane Bridge before.
We have seen this.
I have no questions. Does the public wish to comment on this wonderful contract amendment? Okay. We'll bring it back here. Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval of item 12.2.
Second?
Okay.
And
we
if I
have a-
could just make a comment.
Yes.
I know there's been a few difficulties with this particular contractor, and not only that issue that our staff has worked diligently to resolve in a cooperative manner. Our staff and our hired consultants and our contractor managed to construct this bridge during, depending on where you are, one of the worst winters in California history. And we didn't, that I'm aware of, have any serious issues as far as flooding in the creek or damage to private property or complaints from the public. I mean, other than the inconvenience of having the bridge, but we knew the bridge was going to be closed. So amazing. This project, I've walked it a couple times, and I think it really came out well. And I think it's an excellent example of what our staff and our consultants are capable of doing.
Right. I agree.
I agree.
Here. Okay. I do want to remind the engineer of a certain sign that we had a discussion about on the uphill side on Broadway.
We are looking into it, and we will be coming back with that.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Would you? Oh, whoa.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make one comment, just
Well, of
a point of
course.
clarification. Although we have the agreement with the developer, the funds that are being appropriated have not been received yet. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Thank you.
We will be awaiting the check, as it were. Okay. Okay, we have a motion. All right, we have another comment coming.
I should probably comment on that. I agree with Dave, that's a concern we have. They are under contract
Right.
to do that. We feel comfortable that they have to. The question is how much time they could delay making that payment.
There's no.
As we've noted in here, the payment would get paid back to them once we receive it from the Highway Bridge Program, which we expect hopefully in October.
Yes, sir.
When the state gets their funds replenished. But it is a concern that we may, if we can't get them to agree to pay that, there's some things that we can do that I've talked to the city attorney about in terms of trying to enforce that agreement. But it is a concern. We've mentioned a couple things about cash flow issues already, and carrying another $400,000 for 4 or 5 months would be an extreme for us to do.
Okay.
So.
Is there a time frame stipulated in our contract with them, with the developer?
That's what I.
Rebecca, do you know with Silverado?
There's not a specific time frame. However, there is a specific amount that was part of a condition of approval for the project.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, they were required up to $1.2 million contribution towards this. We've done 500, and this would be an additional 400. So approximately 900, still well under the 1.2 million that they were obligated to potentially fund.
That's correct.
Have we had conversations with the developer at this point?
We have, they're not happy, I'll put it that way.
I don't, yeah,
And
can
I
understand that. Can
but
understand that.
we will continue to work with them and hopefully reach a solution for it.
Right.
So. I need to emphasize, as you know, there were some issues with us, the contractor on this project. My concern is to delay this could put us into further problems with the contractor that may even cost us more money. So I'm hoping that we can reach a solution with Silverado Homes to avoid that.
So has it become a legal issue then, John?
It's getting close. I mean, this city engineer and I have had several conversations with respect to the issues that we have with the contractor, and we are very close to having those issues resolved. Delaying payment to a contractor can always be a problem. There are penalties associated with that if you don't pay within the required timelines. It could also have the effect of causing what has been a very well-negotiated potential settlement by Rebecca to fall apart.
Yeah.
And so we really need to be very careful in what we're doing with respect to this and try and figure out a way to make it work.
I trust you folks will do your usual great work in discussing this with the developer. Okay. We have a motion, a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Aye.
Thank you very much. 12.3. Woof, this is a lot. Approving, we adopt a resolution approving a contract change order, CCO number 13, for a credit in the total amount of $77,723.08 with Doug Veerkamp General Engineering for the Party Way, Big Cut Road, Sacramento Street area waterline replacement projects, waterline replacement on Chamberlain Street and Sacramento Street, CIP 41109, and approving consulting services agreement number 3, amendment number 3 with REY Engineers, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $65,828 for additional construction management services, and authorizing the city engineer to execute a notice of completion, and instructing the city clerk to record said notice with El Dorado County Recorder's Office for the Party Way, Big Cut Road, Sacramento Street area waterline replacement project, waterline replacement on Chamberlain Street and Sacramento Street, CIP 41109, and authorizing the Director of Finance to release all remaining retention being held for construction and construction management security not more than 30 days after the notice of completion filing for the said project. Ms. Neves.
Thank you. As you know, we've been working on the Party project. Construction was completed on May 26th of this year. Doug Veerkamp General Engineering was the contractor, and the project was primarily funded using Department of Water Resources Prop 84 water grant, as well as Measure H funds, water enterprise funds. And as we've concluded the contract, we do have, we go through a process where we issue a final balancing change order, which addresses unit price quantity changes throughout construction, linear pipe of, linear footage of pipe, quantities of aggregate base, et cetera. As such, that balancing change order on this project yielded a credit in $77,723.08. Part of the challenges with this project is we did have to essentially remove and replace approximately 3,000 linear feet of the over 4,000 linear feet that we had installed due to two manufacturer defects, one with the pipe and one with the service saddle connections for individual services to properties. The work that was covered under that, since it was corrective work, was essentially waived by the contractor. However, there are other costs that do get incurred, one of them being the construction management inspection services. So with that credit, since the city is the one that has the contractual relationship with REY and the contractual relationship with Veerkamp, we address that credit includes the amount that is represented in REY's amendment. As such, we did provide a revised project budget in the amount of $2,835,491. Project expenditures total $2.83352, and as a result, we are within the project budget. Options are to approve, as recommended by staff, or to direct staff to attempt to negotiate additional changes to the contract and bring it back to council. As such, we are adopting a resolution, as Mayor Clerici stated, in its entirety. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I don't have any questions, but this has been fantastic. And it's great. I'm glad it's getting done. The little bits we had with the bad pipe and the joints and all that, notwithstanding. And some issues with the state. But otherwise, it was great, and everybody worked it out, and the contractor worked out right. Anyway, I'm happy. Is there any other comments or questions?
I think it has. I think it's a really welcomed project on that hill. It's been in such disrepair for so long, and it's just beautiful. And it's a pleasure to drive on it now. And I just hope the state keeps the lines open in the wintertime and we don't have ice across the...
And I think it's really important to highlight, as you did, that this very important critical project was funded through Prop 84 grants, with local Measure H providing the local match. And without Measure H, we wouldn't have had the local match. And we were able to maximize grant dollars to accomplish a very critical project repair in our city. And that's just cause for great celebration. So thank you for your excellent management and moving this forward. So.
Thank you. It's a collective effort.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Would the public like to comment on this?
Sue Rodman, Measure H Committee. This was the first Measure H project.
Yep.
So, as well as the first
Shall we
Measure
have a-
L project is coming up, this was the first Measure H project that was actually put forward. Now, the first one that got done was Main Street, but this was the first one that hit the agenda, and we put in a recommendation to use Measure H funds as the matching funds to get this grant. So, good for our city.
Well, thank you. All right. Any other comments, questions?
Well, I'll go ahead and move approval of item 12.3.
I'll second it.
Okay, we
I'd
can.
just like to make another quick comment.
Oh,
Heaping more praise on our engineering department.
okay. They deserve it.
Not only did we have the same bad winter, and it was very sickening that day we found out about the problems with the pipe, just because this was a project that has been on the books as the #1 most deteriorated water, part of our water system. That was all borne out as we dug it up and uncovered even more surprises. The engineering staff worked with the contractor on, and then at the end of it, the kind of the frosting on the cake was that, as I understand it, as they got ready to pave, they contacted Rebecca and they worked out a deal. And instead of just doing trench line paving, we actually did some full street paving or full lane paving out there, far beyond what we might have done. So it was like an extra present, if you will, for having put up with all the inconvenience and the signs and stuff for the neighbors. They got nice new streets. So it's kind of like what it'll all look like when we get this thing rolling, all these different tax measures.
Ribbons of asphalt.
cutters.
We're
As
just going to ribbon cut all
Maybe we
over.
should go and
as
drink
the
a
eye
glass
can
of
see.
water out there.
Sparkling water. Okay. Yes. Oh, so we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you said it would be fun spending this kind of money.
I'm telling you.
You've been saying that. You're
I'm
right.
telling you.
We spent a lot of money tonight.
Yeah, that's right. If you can't have fun spending millions of dollars, you just aren't trying.
It was good.
Adopt a resolution approving the Placerville Trail Improvement Program dated July 2017 and authorizing expenditures in the amount of $9,442 for the El Dorado Trail Improvement Program. And I have to say, I have as much fun spending $9,400 as I do spending $1 million. So, anyway, City Manager, Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a project that has been a concern for some time. We've looked at it and tried to see what we can do to improve the trail. I know I've heard comments, and I know you have of council also especially over the last, I would say, or at least over the last year, of people saying that they don't feel safe on the trail anymore, and that is something that we didn't want to see. It's a nice, terrific amenity that we have in our community, and we want to continue that. So we have been working, Councilmember Acuna and Vice Mayor Thomas came to me, and we started working on some things with staff, and put together this program to try and improve the trail to a point where it truly is the amenity that we want it to be. I want to thank our police department, Chief Ortega and Commander Wren, that have worked with putting a lot of this together, and then also our community services department, who has also done a great deal of work and make things happen. And also, I've noted in here, but I'm glad she's here tonight, I want to recognize Jackie No, who has been instrumental in helping us put this together, but also in doing projects on the trail. In fact, I learned that I think she's going to be doing another project tomorrow. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate what she does out there. It's the volunteer work is really critical, I think, in keeping that trail up. So we put together what we've called a trail improvement program that you see attached here, to work on some things over the next 6 months. There will be some things we'll be starting immediately. You see a timeline that is put to the implementation. We put in here, for example, number one is a new signage that will not only be directional and informational, but it will also ask people to help us in keeping the trail clean and help us reporting problems and et cetera. So actually that's another area where our volunteers, Jackie No and Carl, right, I forget Carl's last name, thank you, we'll be working on the signage program, a master signage program for our trails that we'll bring back for approval to get going with that. And we may look at doing some temporary signage interim to getting that to get that part started. The next part is the volunteer programs that we've talked about. We would like to set up 2 volunteer programs potentially. One we're calling Eyes on the Trail, which will simply be requesting volunteers and others to be an active participant in reporting problems and helping us where they see problems. The second one is an adoptive trail program where volunteer groups could sign up for different areas of the trail to take ownership of that. And
kind of like the highway program?
Kind of like the Adopt a Highway program, yeah, similar to that, but it would be Adopt a Trail program. So we want to work on that. We put January 1, we hope to put that together and have something together that will work for that.
Good idea.
Safety and security, this is the main one that we're asking you to approve tonight, in that our police department has put together what they're calling a directed enforcement program that will implement a program immediately where they will put extensive amount of patrols on the trail over about a 6-week period that will be there to clean up the problems that we have experienced. Following that 6-week period, they'll continue on a less frequent basis, but still patrols on the trail, uniformed police officers to patrol the trail and look for problems and just communicate with those that are using the trail and help them to feel safe and know that it is a safe place for them to be. There's other things that I've talked about here. The Eyes on the Trail program will fold into this also, and communicating with those that are using the trail can communicate with our police department and let them know things are going on. This one we hope to implement immediately. There is a cost factor with this. We're asking you to add some money to our budget for reserve officers. That's primarily what we're going to try to use to implement this program on the trail. So that's where the main portion of the funding, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the end. The Opportunity Knocks program, continuum of care. As you know, there is a problem with camping on the trail. That's one of the major issues that we have found. And so we want to work closely with them to look at solutions that they can help us with, that they may be coming up with, to work on to eliminate the illegal camping that occurs on the trail. Caltrans coordination, this is one we're very excited about, in that we met with Caltrans on one day. I don't have the date in here, but we met with them and they called us the next day and said, can we come out tomorrow? And so they have been out once to do some cleanup in terms of brush clearing and raising the canopy on the trees so that those places are no longer hiding places for illegal activities that may take place out there.
Those were great pictures that you sent out.
Yeah.
That was a great report.
In addition to that, I've now learned that they will be back out tomorrow for
Yay.
a second trip working around the
Great.
Schnell
Oh, that's
School Road
wonderful.
area. And so we'll have them out there the same time that Jackie maybe and her group are going to be out there. So we're excited about that. They're continuing. A very good cooperation. We showed our commitment to Caltrans, and they have in turn turned around and committed to us to get things done. So it's been
Wonderful.
a good program. And then the final thing that really affects us right now is the trail maintenance. We are going to step up our efforts in terms of trail maintenance and keeping that brush down and trying to clear more of the areas that are hiding places, if you will, try to eliminate those so that the trail can be enjoyed by everyone. We're not asking for a funding mechanism for that right now, as we are going to use current funds and reevaluate that at mid-year and come back to you if necessary. We're not positive it will be, but if necessary, come back
Well, by then
to you
you'll
at
be
that
able to
time.
give us maybe a ballpark figure.
Right. And then the final thing we have in here is that we may look at in next year's budget, consider putting together a formal trail master plan for the city that we could adopt as part of our park master plan, add to that, to keep an ongoing program of maintenance and keeping our trails and even adding to our trail programs if necessary. So what we're asking you to do tonight is we have funds of additional funds of $9,442 that we have identified that are necessary to implement the police directed enforcement program. We have, as you can see in here under budget, we've noted that we believe that we can assume this in our adopted budget due to a couple of vacancies that we currently have. And if everything works out the way we think it will, that will be fine. If not, we may need to come back to you at mid-year and talk about that. But we think that we'll be able to absorb this cost within our current adopted budget. So we're not asking for additional funds. We're just asking for additional authorization to spend funds already there for additional reserve hours above and beyond what was initially approved in the budget. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, along with Chief Ortega, who has been instrumental in getting this program going.
I have, sorry.
Going to say, do we have any questions
I
first?
do have a question. I know we talked about this a couple years ago, but refresh my memory, please. Is the trail considered a park? Is it in one of the?
It is identified, I believe, in our park master plan that the Parks and Recreation Commission is currently working on. Is that correct, Jackie? I'm going to ask you. You're on that commission. I'm pretty sure that Steve told me that in the new master plan that they're currently working on, it is in there.
Okay.
So,
It's folded
yes.
into the park
Thank you.
system. Okay. Questions, comments, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your explanation of this and for bringing this forward. This has been a very interesting project to work on, and certainly want to recognize Jackie No and all of her friends of the trail that have brought this forward. This is truly a project that has come forward from the community, and I really appreciate that collaboration and that engagement. I also want to highlight, as you pointed out, that this program is about behavior. It's about encouraging productive behavior, encouraging trail usage, encouraging families to, enjoy the recreational amenities that run through the heart of our trail, increasing the connectivity through our town, helping school children and their families feel safe walking to school, encouraging all that productive behavior, while discouraging destructive and illegal behavior. And so it has a joint purpose. Really want to recognize the response of our police department. our police department, working hand in hand with our community members, has done a superb job of kind of nipping some of the challenges that we had on this trail in the bud and getting us to where we are today. Commander Wren especially has been incredibly responsive, and just really want to acknowledge his efforts. I mean, all the efforts of our police department, all of you are engaged, and we very, very much appreciate that. And Commander Wren has gone above and beyond too, in really engaging with our community members to kind of take back the trail. Also, our public works crews have done just an extraordinary job in engaging with our volunteers to tackle the mountains of brush that just were overgrown this year, due to delayed maintenance and as well as this weather. Our trail had gotten pretty unwieldy, so to speak, and there was no money in the budget to address it appropriately, and our community stepped up and really worked with our public works crews to help manage the brush. And that's, we're here today because of all of that collaborative effort. I also want to remark that Councilmember Acuna and I were in the meeting with Caltrans, and so we've approached Caltrans before, and they've always been, very nice partners to work with. But this was a different kind of meeting, and they brought some big guns to our trail, and we did a field trip, and we had our police department there, we had public works there, we had administration there, and we had council there, and we went on a field trip, and we walked the sites, we showed them the problems, and then we went back and had a little powwow up at the 4th floor. And I think what really, really mattered was that there was heightened internal collaboration. And we made it known that we weren't going to come to their table without getting our table in order. And we laid out all the steps that had gone before and all the work that had been done from the community and our public staff, our city staff, and that we were asking them to partner with us to fix their fences and to limb up the brush on their end while we were clearing the brush on our end, and to partner with us to really help move this project forward. And the fact that they called us up the next day and said, we'll be there tomorrow, I mean, oh my gosh, it was like, that's amazing. But it mattered because all the efforts that we have had taken place. So just really, this is just the start. I have great confidence that our trail will continue to be the amazing asset that it is. And thanks to our engaged community and our staff, just really grateful to everyone's efforts on that. So.
I just have to say, once again, volunteerism in Placerville is alive and well, and I tell you, the folks like Jackie and her and the folks that are helping, and and I've said it before a million times, our service clubs and the people that volunteer to help us out with every time we put the call out, it just makes our town. That's what we're all about, and my thank you to all of you. I couldn't have gone out there in that 107-degree weather and chop tree limbs and stuff. And Jackie's just she's one of those Energizer bunnies.
There you go. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would just echo all my colleagues' comments and appreciations for the various folks involved in this process. And I have to tell you that it is very rewarding to go out with a big agency like Caltrans with 4 of their area supervisors and be able to take them out on a site and have our ducks in a row, our facilities in order, and we had answers for all their questions. It was a very strong point to walk through the very clear and safe city right-of-way, walk up to the state boundary fence, and then on the Caltrans side is just complete disaster, from fire hazard to human waste and filthy camps and discarded clothing and cooking fires that had just been used that morning. And we turned and looked back to the city right away, and it was all cleared. And it was cleared because of all the efforts that were just described, and it all started with Jackie and her various groups. And she's taught me that there are varying levels of determination in those groups that she'll take out there to tackle the specific project. which is exactly what Patty's talking about, the various volunteers and their importance to our success. It also echoes to Cleve and allowing us to proceed with this whole thing, because it's been an issue that's come on and off the radar through the late last year, and then this winter. I know I felt like this was our opportunity, while most of the illegal activities were at a minimum, that we could really get a handle on this, and I think that we really have. And one of the things that I want to strive for is that we keep a hold of it, that we don't. That what Cleve has proposed in his program, I think, is excellent, and it'll roll forward, and it recognizes our responsibilities for every year to maintain this for our community. And the positive impact or comments on social media, just putting up a little blurb, and the people say, "Oh my goodness, I'll feel safe walking again. I'll feel safe with my daughter. I'll feel safe with my children. Can't wait to go use the trail again." So we absolutely read that correctly. And I'd like to recognize Steve Yule for his tenacity and his willingness to always say yes to some of the crazier things that we at least talked about, maybe discarded, but we explored every avenue of how we were really going to make this thing stick and be a success. And of course, Commander Joe Wren and his can-do attitude and his ability to deliver the appropriate message to the situation has been critical in re-engaging our police officers in their patrol duties, and going out and having to deal with these illegal activities along the trail, the impact that it has on our community. It adds a lot of extra work to their day, but I think they understand that the value is very important. So I can't say enough about the success that we've had as our commander with our patrol forces. And I would like to just say thank you to Caltrans. I've been around on a lot of projects, and they have so many unmet needs. I mean, but we were able to go in there, and I'll always think that we didn't just bring a police officer. We brought our police chief. We had Commander Wren there. We had the city manager there. We had Steve Yule there. We had council members. I told them that we would all had been there, but it would have been a violation of the Brown Act, because we felt that's the strong feeling that we have for this particular resource and all the impacts that it has on the community, the neighborhoods, the schools, and the safety. So I look forward to seeing them complete they agreed that they would have everything done by September 1st. So I'm looking forward to them meeting that obligation. It's going to look great.
It's going to look great. Okay. Ms. No, would you like to say anything?
Good evening. My name's Jackie No, city resident. You've said a lot of what I have in my notes already, but just really want to echo the thanks to Mark and Wendy and our staff and our police department for working so diligently to address this issue that was barely been brewing for a while. I mean, it was getting very, very bad, and the city, hired hazmat crews to come out this spring because things had gotten that bad, just 20 and 50 feet from where we expect children to walk to school. Placerville is just such a rewarding place to work. We were out there, we're doing trail work, all the trail users are thanking us, but you also hear those comments that really justify what you're doing. When someone says, thank you, now I feel like I don't have to carry a gun to walk this trail. It's very impactful, and certainly not the kind of community atmosphere that we want. And so really excited about the program moving forward. Excited about working with everyone who's just been so helpful, put in so much time, so much enthusiasm. Just can't say thank you enough. Thanks.
Could I, Jackie, just real quick question. You were talking about the folks that have met you on the trail and said thank you and everything. Have any of them volunteered to say, what can we do or anything like that? And the signs that you're talking about putting up, are you going to maybe advertise that?
Yeah. One of the great things that we do here in the city is the spring cleanup, April 29th, and that's a great great way to recruit people to work together. And, you know, that cleanup day we had in April, people were like, you know, thank you so much. Can't wait till next year. You know, we had a group in the tunnel painting up all the graffiti, and this mom came to me afterwards, and she said, I just want to tell you, she said, I have a son who's very challenged in life, and he said that the users who were coming by and thanking us, she said he lit up and had like the best day of his year.
Wow, that's great.
And it really is. So, you know, the volunteers we get, and the trail users who are just always so thankful, it's just, it's so great.
So maybe we can just have a trail cleanup. I mean, because once a year probably isn't going to be enough.
No. We're working on that through the programs.
Okay.
Certainly.
Well, again, thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you.
And I also want to add that Jackie not only does the trail in Placerville, but she's down behind Kmart. She's all over cutting brush. So I'm telling you, it's well, Jackie. I mean,
I got some trimmed up in my yard, Jackie. You know, and you just live up the street.
The junipers.
Yeah. Oh, no, I wouldn't wish the junipers on anybody. Thank you for reminding me of that. Anyway,
I assume your wife would be watching.
Oh, she hates those things. Okay. Does anybody else wish to speak on this subject?
I'd like to move that we adopt a resolution approving the Placerville Trail Improvement Program.
And I second it.
Please.
Right?
We all want to second it.
Pick a second.
I don't care.
Okay. All right, we have a motion, a second, but we are allocating money, so let's call the roll.
We might be.
$9,400.
It's not even.
Councilmember Acuna?
Aye.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Thomas?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Aye.
Awesome job.
All righty.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have our add-on item. Subject. Authorizes the city engineer to prepare and submit supplemental application material for the Upper Broadway Pedestrian Connection Project as required for the project selection process of the 2017 Active Transportation Program Augmentation Guidelines. Ms. Neves.
Thank you for hearing this last-minute item. We, due to the timing of various things, such as the canceling of the next council meeting, it was imperative that we did put this item before you this evening, as this letter that we're trying to submit with our augmentation package is a requirement. You may recall Senate Bill 1 was signed by the governor on April 28th of this year, and it does direct $100 million from the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation account to the Active Transportation Program, known as ATP, beginning this fiscal year. On the 30th, the California Transportation Commission adopted, on the 28th, CTC adopted the final augmentation guidelines, inclusive of which stipulates a supplemental application material package that does require submitting a letter signed by the agency staff authorized by the governing body, in this instance council, to confirm the agency's commitment to deliver the project within the updated project programming requests that would be included as part of the material. This is the request before you this evening. There are no budget impacts associated with this item. Options are to proceed or deny authorization to submit for this funding opportunity. Recommendations are to authorize the city engineer to prepare and submit supplemental application material for the Upper Broadway Pedestrian Connection Project as required for the project selection process of the 2017 Active Transportation Program Augmented Guidelines. And with that concludes staff's report. I'm happy to answer any questions you
Do we have
may
any questions? None. Okay. Would the public wish to comment on this item?
It's a walking thing. Jackie, it's a walking thing.
Okay.
It's a bike lane.
I'd just like to point out and then have
Yes.
staff correct me if I'm wrong, that this is a project that's been on the books for a while. These funds are very specific.
Yes.
And we couldn't be involved in this and go out and fix potholes or accelerate any paving programs.
Yes.
That is correct.
For all
this
those,
particular funding type is designated for bicycle and pedestrian usage, as it is an active transportation mode.
Right.
Rebecca, is this, oh, I'm sorry.
No, not fine. I just wanted to make sure people understood.
Is this, and I'm sorry, because we didn't have this to look at before, but is this part of the, where it's going to extend up into the area that we've been concerned about up on Broadway? Is that part of?
Yes, ma'am. So, well, the project scope, it mirrors the Upper Broadway Bike Lanes project, which is from Schnell School to Point View.
Okay,
The
so-
Upper Broadway Bike Lanes project is only a bike lane project. We only have construction funding for a bike lane project.
Okay.
This submittal was for the pedestrian connection project that would be delivered in unison with the bike lane project. You may recall actually last year we submitted on the Cycle 3 ATP funding, and it was, I believe we submitted for was 1.7952 million. And that would allow us to be able to provide adequate pedestrian facilities delivered with the Upper Broadway Bike Lanes project.
So all the complaints that we've had and comments and everything, wanting us to to fix that, to make it safer and everything, that's what this is all about.
Yes, ma'am. When we went through we're still going through the environmental clearance process, when we had public meetings, there was an overwhelming response and comments from the public to actually not only do the bike lanes, but also include additional pedestrian facilities.
right.
Staff took it to heart, and we went after the funding source with the support of council, and we also went after CMAQ funding. We were unsuccessful at receiving
Yeah, we
the
got
Cycle
turned
3.
down for-
yeah,
yeah,
but we did score high enough in our application, particularly in the state round, where we are in pretty good shape to where we could get the funding.
That's what I heard, so
Very good.
congratulations. Keep going.
Yes. I would also like to add to Councilmember Acuna's comment, and no Measure L money.
Oh, there's it, yeah.
Yeah, no Measure L money is going to this project. No money to buy asphalts for potholes. No money that could be used to fix a road can be used in this project. So if you're about ready to break out the Facebook, you can save yourself some time.
This is a huge safety issue.
It's a huge safety
This
issue.
Oh, my
project
gosh,
will make
yes.
that
Yes.
a very long stretch of that
Yes.
road much, much safer.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's
It also builds in connectivity for future development on that part
That's
of,
right.
of Placerville.
That's
and
exactly-
that's a
That's
really,
right.
critical aspect of moving our city forward.
Right.
So.
That's right.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes. Okay. Did we get a motion?
Our
We
public's
haven't,
dwindling.
public.
Yeah, didn't I? I looked at the two members of the public and asked
Oh,
them if they
that's
wanted to say
right. I'm
anything,
sorry.
and they
Yes,
didn't
you
wanna say
did.
anything.
I'll move item 12.5.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We can just do this by, yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. Okay. Thank you very much.
It's kind of been like the Rebecca Neal.
This has been a good meeting
This has
so
been the
far.
Rebecca show.
We've done a lot of cool things.
That's good. No, don't be. It's great. I should add up all the millions.
Why what are you talking
This is
down
good.
there?
I'm talking with my staff.
All right. Council reports from other agency meetings, El Dorado County Transit Authority.
No, we haven't had, it's
Was canceled this
Yeah.
month.
El Dorado County Transportation Commission.
along those lines. I would like to, again, to say that Wendy and John and I went down to the regional leaders reception honoring the CTC. And I gave a little speech and said thank you, and I'm not sure anybody heard it.
You
but-
did a darn good job.
I listened.
Darn good
There
job.
was so much
I-
chitter chatter
I-
that, anyway, it was a lovely reception, and I think the CTC appreciated it. And I think it's important that we show our appreciation by showing up, and
Yeah.
I think maybe they were impressed that three of us were there from the council, and, to give thanks, and so.
Well, the CTC is going to be in control of an awful lot of money here with this SB and AB1.
Well,
and
just in
it's
the
not a-
last report that Rebecca
yeah.
just gave, they
It's-
were involved in granting
it's-
us that funding.
And they
so-
gave, and we stayed in the STIP. So, we should go down and say hi and thank you. And it was actually very nice. I listened, and I wept a little bit.
Oh,
while you were
good.
talking, 'cause I just thought it was so wonderful.
And then I also want to, a part of the transportation, we went, well, it's not transportation, but the League of Cities.
Yeah, go ahead.
That John and I
Yeah.
went to that meeting,
ahead.
and it was fantastic because 2 years ago, we were able to view the future arena, the hole in the ground, and see and hear all the plans that Mr. Shirey presented to us. And this time we went down and we had a full tour of the arena, and my gosh, I had no idea what all that building contains. I was particularly blown away with the area that they have set aside for the players and their families and their children, and they hire nannies to take care of the kids, and I didn't know all that went on. It was really amazing. And then we got to visit the players' locker room and the shower room, and their showers are 7 feet high.
Well, of course they are.
It was just amazing, and it was just, it was fantastic. And then afterwards, we went back. The meeting was in the Wells Fargo building, which if you guys haven't been there, that is just just to go in that lobby and see all the artifacts and everything from the Wells Fargo folks was just beautiful. Anyway, we had a very, very interesting meeting. We had, and John, maybe you want to tell about the folks, the speakers, and well, we're sharing. But we had the guy who's our lobbyist, and you want to expand on
Oh, the lobbyist, they were talking, well, a couple of things. There were some of the important Assembly and Senate things that are going on. The one is about the small cell thing that we wrote a letter. That's still out there, but just some of the issues that are in front of the Assembly and Senate right now. And basically they kind of outlined where we can add value to telling them things, and we actually came up with some ideas on how to be able to respond more quickly to some of these things. And
then the pension issue they talked
and
about.
The pension issue is
and the cap and trade issue they talked about, and the bottle bill, and it was a very interesting.
Pension issue is the pension issue, and that'll be out there forever, and we'll have to deal with it, and there'll be all sorts of new ways to deal with it. And
and then the executive director, Carolyn Coleman, came.
Yeah, she actually I got there after.
Oh, she what a nice woman, and expressed her wishes to have more participation from the cities actually, but encouraged us all, and they're all looking forward to the big conference that we're going to have down there. So
the league does a lot of good work. They're very focused in on some issues, and sometimes the rural cities, although the Sacramento Valley division really does have their pulse on the smaller city issues and stuff, and they're very good about responding to us, and
and they appreciate our response.
And we're actually one of the more responsive cities,
we are.
So they kind of like us, and we go down and actually support them. And I know Charles always likes it.
And then we had election of new officers, and we had dinner, and it was
a very nice dinner.
It was a great
It was a
meeting.
very nice dinner.
Yeah.
With not much on the dessert, but the dinner was really good.
Yeah, the dessert kind of was.
The dessert was a little.
Did
they
you
had
cry?
this great. I wanted to because the dessert.
complained.
They had a great dinner, and then the dessert was like literally. And this is nothing bad about Safeway. I'm just using an example. They just went and bought like the plastic Safeway cookies, and it's like I would have thought with a nice dinner they might have done, but anyway.
But the hors d'oeuvres were great.
The hors d'oeuvres were wonderful. They were almost like a dinner. Okay.
Anyway, that's what we've been doing.
Oh, I shouldn't have this job. Okay, LAFCO.
Well, while you guys were off doing that, we were LAFCOing. We had our meeting.
I've never heard it as a verb before, but okay.
Well, you're near LAFCO. I'm telling you, it's a serious business. Everything is fine over there. Placerville's sphere of influence and all that. That is, the draft document is out, so we'll be working our way through LAFCO. The rest of we're not meeting this month, so more next month. And I just thank you guys for going down to those meetings. And while you've talked about the dessert, I really do appreciate the importance of the CTC and having a president for Placerville, the league, and having the appropriate members going to those meetings. They are extra and up and beyond, and not always easy to get to. But it has made a big difference. I think in the information that we receive and the kind of our ability to keep the pulse of the region.
It certainly gets the public involved. Oh, anyway.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. SACOG, there were no SACOG meetings, and 2x2.
We have one scheduled.
In a couple weeks, yes.
Great. Okay. Do you have any requests for future agenda items besides the parking thing?
More of a question.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that we had a planning commissioner that needed to resign because he's moving out of state, and certainly want to recognize and thank Daniel Roby for serving the city. But to that end, my question is, what will be our process for filling that vacancy, as I know we're dark at the end of this month, and we also have a lot of projects coming up, and my concern, especially about the hotel project perhaps moving forward and our ability to get a quorum. So what is going to be our process for filling that vacancy?
Actually, Regina was going to talk to that on the next item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, we
I'm
skipped that,
sorry.
didn't we? City manager and staff reports.
Yes,
but-
we did.
Well, it's blank, so the.
Future agenda items.
Oh, yeah, we,
Oh, request, I'm sorry.
I apologize. I jumped the gun.
I looked at the item after that. Anyway, Regina was going to talk about that.
Never mind.
after that, so-
Okay, I'll wait for that.
Yeah, all right. Do we get any other requests for agenda items? All right. City manager and staff reports.
Regina?
Regina.
Do you wanna talk about that?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So last week, July 6th, staff received a resignation letter from Daniel Roby. For personal and professional reasons, he is having to move out of the city. He'll no longer be a city resident, so he will have to terminate his council membership, planning commissioner. So effective immediately. As you remember, we did have a recruitment or an interview. It was March 1st of this year. You interviewed 5 individuals, 5 candidates. And, it was 4 candidates, I believe, right? 2 of them were chosen and 2 were not. So staff wasn't thinking of inviting those 2 individuals to apply again. We'll maybe run a recruitment for about 3 weeks or so. And we won't have a quorum for the meeting that's to be held on July 18th because we also have Planning Commissioner List who has requested to have that meeting off. I believe so that will leave only 2 Planning Commissioners. So, and we're also canceling the August 1st meeting because that's the National Night Out date. So,
and we have one planning commissioner that's on a bicycle?
Yes, that's.
Is he back?
Peter Wolf.
He's
Is he
back.
back?
Getting back.
Oh, okay.
He is
Then-
back, yes.
Oh, okay.
No, question.
Okay.
So can they function with 3 active members?
Actually, in that case, if Peter Wolf is back, then we can have that meeting.
That's what I was curious.
That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any
July
critical
18th.
projects that are being delayed?
That'd be a question for Pierre.
Pierre.
Pierre?
Pierre. Pierre.
Mr. Rivas.
Staff has contacted all the applicants that had items agendized for the meeting, and so nothing really critical.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you. So we'll need to decide what we want to do.
Well, we will, once we
Open the
get the application
recruitment.
in, we'll schedule,
Okay.
like we do for your regular interviews. We'll
Okay.
have an interview of those that apply, and you'll make your selection.
Cool. Yes, sir.
Would you like to address the issue of the questions that we asked? Because
yes. Let's get those questions. Maybe we have like a little workshop on questions. Yeah.
Send it,
Yeah.
maybe send
'cause-
us the questions that we
yeah,
used
I'd
last
really
time.
like to think about those questions.
And then
We can do that.
Because they were not satisfying. Okay, good. Thank you for reminding
And then
us.
we also, in our budget, have.
The training.
We're going to have training.
Yeah.
we had that in there, huh?
Training, yeah. Very good. Okay, do we have any other staff reports or city manager reports or reports? Anything? Okay. Okay. Let's see, the upcoming items. The only upcoming item is we won't have a meeting in 2 weeks, which is exciting, I guess. I will be on vacation. July 25th, 2017 has been canceled. Items tentatively scheduled for the next regularly scheduled city council meeting of August 8th include nothing. So we won't even have an agenda. Isn't that exciting? Okay.
National Night Out.
Don't forget National Night Out, August 1st. And everybody, have a good rest of the night.